Y'all, there are well over a dozen worlds in Wizard101 in 2025, and today I wanted to answer a question that I get all the time. How many crowns does it take to unlock every single zone in Wizard101? So Wizard101 is a very weird game in the sense that you either pay membership to unlock everything, or if you want to, you can spend real life money, buy a bunch of crowns, and unlock every part of the spirals, zone by zone, world by world. Today, I wanted to go through every world, talk about how much it would cost to buy everything. Also, look at when, if ever, it's worth it and how the paywalls changed over the years. Starting right off with the Wizard City and starting right off with something a lot of people don't know about. The entirety of Wizard City, to this day, is still free. Now, the meme is normally that Unicorn Way and Triton Avenue, they are completely free to play. And then the player's first paywall where they have to either buy membership or pay for a zone is in Firecat Alley or Cyclops Lane. But the paywall for these two streets, it's been removed since Selenopolis, when they actually made it so people could quest all the way through Wizard City to see the Krokotopia retexture. But the second you get to Krokotopia, the paywall is immediate and steep. So even though the Oasis is free, the way Krokotopia is, it's basically divided into three parts: the Pyramid of the Sun, the Tomb of the Storms, and the Krokosphinx. And basically, each of these zones are priced at 3,500 crowns. So to buy a world for the first time that you actually encounter a paywall, the starting price is 10,500 crowns. I think for such an early paywall where you have very little indication of how the game actually works, it is still absolutely ridiculous, even given the progress that we've had with Wizard City paywall. But at least the next three worlds in Arc 1, right, Marleybone, Mushu, and also Dragonspire, there isn't that big of an increase from Krokotopia. So this is what the Marleybone paywall looks like. It's basically just a bunch of 1,200 crowns payments. I will say this, it is a little crazy to me, and I never knew this, that all of the Royal Museum isn't just one payment of 1,200 crowns. This is basically just a series of glorified towers that you have to do at the very end of the world. But this area is basically 3,600 crowns just to finish and progress to Mushu, when, in my opinion, for the length that Marleybone is, it should absolutely be lumped into one. That is something that I really think they should do if they want to keep this prehistoric paywall. The way these 1,200 crowns payments work for worlds like Mushu and Dragonspire, they're a little bit more reasonable. They start lumping 1 and even 2 areas together. But if you want to buy all the way after Krokotopia, from Marleybone through Dragonspire, you're looking at 3 separate payments of 10,800 crowns. And by now, you would have made it to Arc 2. Now, I would argue Arc 2 and its paywall is probably the last time anything resembling reasonable exists. And you'll see what I'm talking about. But basically, right, the way Celestia, Zafaria, and Avalon all work, right, these are 3 pretty big worlds. They basically lump a bunch of zones, pretty long zones, if you ask me, especially in the case of like Avalon, for example. They lump them into payments of 16.95. And basically, there are 6 different times you would pay that amount throughout the world. Still pretty large, but actually less than previous worlds in Arc 1. The total for Celestia, Zafaria, and Avalon come up to just a little over 10,000. So if you pay that 3 times for the 3 worlds, you can actually make it all the way to Azteca. And this is where I think Wizard101 loses all reason. Now, keep in mind that Azteca is, I guess, a long world. So at least you can maybe give it credit for, maybe they expect you to pay a little bit more if you're not going to pay membership to unlock all of this. But the pricing of the group zones goes up to $19.95, and you still have to pay that 6 times in Azteca. The total for the world of Azteca is just short of 12,000 crowns, which I think is crazy, considering for you to buy this, it's basically $25 if you want to buy just the crowns to cover this, right? They have like 13,000 crowns that they give out for about $25, and that's pretty steep for even a world like Azteca, in my opinion. Now, they keep the same energy for Chrysalis, so if you were to pay all the way through the second arc, you're looking at 2 more payments of 11,970 crowns. But what's really weird about this 11,970 number for the entire world, they've rolled with this for about 5 years, the only exception being Polaris. Polaris has 1 less payment of 1995, so basically it's like a little under 10,000 crowns. So the total for Polaris comes out to 9,975 crowns. But Mirage and Imperia go right back up to 11,970 again. This 1995 number that they put on zones for relatively short worlds. Worlds like Polaris and Mirage, you can go through those in a day. I'd say around Polaris, Mirage, just Arc 3 in general is where the worlds get a little bit shorter. And while I don't mind short, I think it's kind of crazy to pay more for worlds that you spend less time in. And 11,970 in Mirage and Imperia is a little bit crazy. Imperia, maybe you could give it a pass because it's a two-part world. But Polaris and Mirage being priced the way that they are, it's almost, in my opinion, as bad as Marleybone being, like, you know, a triple payment just to go through the Royal Museum. Now, ever since Arc 4 came out, they've been basically lumping together zones and basically pricing them at 2,295 crowns. Now, keep in mind, right, we started this video at 1,200 crowns every time they lump a few zones together. It's about 1,000 crowns of inflation, which honestly, I don't really think inflation is like something you can avoid when it comes to stuff like this. But it is really, really worth noting that even though it's expected that you'll pay more per zone as the worlds go on, as time goes on, as money gets, you know, like a little bit more inflated, well, that's reasonable. I do think it's crazy that they go up in price, but the length of the worlds have been either shorter or even comparable to several earlier worlds. Right, Arc 2, for how much time you actually get, I could almost look past it, but ever since Arc 3, I feel like the pricing just never really adds up, and it kind of holds back the game in a very, very similar way to how early the paywall is. Right, a lot of people talk about how early the paywall is. A lot of people don't talk about how much more you pay per zone for shorter worlds. But this 22.95 number, it basically determines the price of every single world from Caramel and beyond, including Selenopolis. But Caramel and Lemuria have the most areas priced at 22.95, so it's over 13,000 crowns each for those. Novus and Selenopolis are 9,180 crowns because they only have like 4 areas that you could actually buy. Honestly, these are pretty decent. At least they're like acknowledging the limited amount of areas. And Wallaroo, unlike Caramel and Lemuria, is also one less payment of 22.95, so it's like 11,000 crowns. Now, I'm sure y'all are wondering, what does this all come out to? Now, for the calculations for this video, I decided to also lump in Darkmoor, because a lot of people are going to be buying Darkmoor for the gear anyways. But the grand total, if you were to buy every single zone with crowns alone, is actually not as high as I would have thought, 192,000 crowns. Now, this thing about it not being as high as I thought. Do I think there should be a paywall? No, not something as early as Krokotopia, not something as crazy as what we see by Arc 3 and Arc 4. But the reason why it's so weird to me is because I played this game for 17 years, and during that time, I bought a yearly membership on 2 different accounts. So that is $120 a year. So if you think about it, by the time I'm 2 years in, I'm already paying more than I would have to buy every single zone in Wizard101 and never pay membership again if I were to go that route. Obviously, that comes with a stipulation that you actually buy crowns when they're on sale. There's a super crown sale where you can get more than 1,000 crowns per dollar. They haven't done that since 2019. I don't think they're ever bringing that back. I might make a whole video on that. But if you consider sales like literally the one going on right now, you can get 1,000 crowns per dollar. So you're looking at a little under $200 to buy every single zone in Wiz. And very, very honestly, yes, there are member benefits that you'll miss out on. And I honestly think there's a lot of elixirs that make up for it. So I guess that's kind of a trade-off for people, whether they want to do the side activities and drop things like double pet XP, like double gardening. But I think the real reason why someone would choose to go this route, as in buy every zone instead of pay membership, is if early in their process of playing, they're very, very sure they're going to play for years. Now, that brings me to the bigger point, right? How are you supposed to know whether you want to play a game for years when you start paying not even a full 2 worlds into a game with over 17 worlds? I think for how, you know, people portray the paywall in general, like, you would think it's like some kind of like devil incarnate. It's actually quite reasonable if you were to have that paywall much later in the game, especially considering the fact that membership already exists, right? If there was just pay for, you know, unlocking zones, kind of like an expansion style system, then, you know, and there was no membership to play the game, I don't even think people would complain that much because it'd be cheaper in the long run. Or at least if the paywall was later, so people that are actually wondering, oh, yo, can I just save money if I want to play this game for over a couple of years? But if there's room for those people to make that decision, I honestly think Wiz would make more money as a result anyway. It's definitely a very unique aspect of the Wiz experience, but I do think that a lot of people should look at the prices for what they are and make the decision themselves. I don't think there's a right answer when it comes to this, but I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts. Are y'all membership players or crowns players? Do you guys think one thing is better than the other? And what do y'all think about the final tally of about 192,000 crowns to buy every zone in Wiz? You guys think that's more reasonable than you expected or worse? And what do you guys think about the paywall in general? I'd love to hear all of y'all's thoughts in the comments. Drop a like if you enjoyed, leave a sub if you're new, and as always, if somebody hasn't told you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. Stay awesome. See y'all soon. And yeah, yo.